Hello, hello, hello. If you can hear me, if you're out there and you can hear me, I'm having some tech problems. Let me see. No, it's not working. Can you hear me? Anyone? It's not live? Hello? Let's see. Am I streaming? It's not. Oh, no, no, no. You can hear me? Oh, you just can't see me. Okay, good. All right, everyone, if you can hear me, because it shows that I'm streaming right now, but okay, Karen says you can hear me. I'm in the chat right now, and let's see. Hey there. Okay, let me know if you can see me now. Can you see me now? Can you hear me now? I'm in the chat. Can you see me in the chat? Forgiven? Thank you, Juan. I'm gonna get this, okay? I'm gonna figure it out because, hi there, Donna. Nothing, nothing, no thing, nothing. I'm sorry. Hey, Karen, thank you. Tina, oh my God, IG. Hey there, Jennifer Chavez, welcome. Let me know if you are able to hear or see me now because I am on the camera. Karen, how is it looking? Just let me know. I'm going to wait for a minute and see if you can see me right now on the cam. Donna, you haven't been on a live in a long time. Yeah, it's been a while. I'm sorry I got distracted, everyone. I wanted to do this live stream a lot sooner. You still can't see me, Karen says, but you can hear me. Oh my. Okay. But you can't. What do you see on the screen? Karen, let me know what you're seeing on the screen because it's showing that I have the screen set up. Are you seeing me now? Nothing yet? But you can hear me. Oh, wow. I'm going to wait a minute and see if anything cleared up yet. 1 minute, everyone. Let me see if Karen, you can hear me. Okay, she's sent me a message. We can definitely hear, but you can't see me. Maybe in the settings. I have the camera opened. Everything, everything is open right now. Not sure what is going on with the camera. Is this okay? I'm looking at everything here in the settings. I did a test, everyone, so I'm really sorry about this. I thought everything was good. Everything was set up the way it should. Camera is set up. Um, I may have to reschedule. Thought this was a good setup from earlier. Okay, since you can hear me, Karen says you hear me fine. Well, let's just talk a bit, and I won't keep you because I'm sorry about the technical thing. Thank you for forgiving me that I'm trying to do the OBS and I really felt like it was set up correctly. But you know what it was? I know what happened. It scheduled two different live streams and I had to cancel one of them. So maybe that was the one where all the settings were saved. I'm not sure. So I'm trying to do it now. But what happens when I'm trying to do it live, I get flustered and I'm not going to be able to think straight. So I will do this again if you don't mind being patient with me. I'll reschedule so I'll talk about everything that I wanted to talk about because I wanted to show you some stuff. Basically, I have been observing things, and I know you have, and you're hearing about the Diddy trial and all of the abnormal things that happen with such a trial. And what it is that I am observing about this Diddy trial, they say, they describe it as the trial of the century, bigger than the OJ trial. But the thing about the OJ trial, we were able to see it. It was televised once it started. And this one, I'm not sure if they're going to televise it, but it does start on the 12th officially. They have, I believe, completed their jury selection. And that was interesting. I listened to a lot of people that have legal backgrounds that deal with these cases. You may follow some of these people, like what is it called, that witness, that what is her name, oh my goodness, BJ investigates. She is a lawyer and she did a lot to work with the Free Britney movement. You may know her. She's so fun. I love her channel. I love the way she presents information, and it's not hard to understand her. So when she talks about these legal cases, she does read them with a deep understanding. You probably have heard of Tisa Tells. She's really good at interpreting the legal jargon and everything. And there's a lot of people covering the case really well. Ticket TV, if you want to follow people that I think are doing a good job, Ticket TV. He's one. I don't know what Paperwork Party Network or whatever is doing, but I know they cover cases really well. So BJ Investigates, Ticket TV, and then there's a girl named, um, oh, wait a minute, Ticket TV. He mentions her a lot. Shaylin. She does a great job reading this court stuff. And who else, if you want to follow people to follow that? I know there's a good guy that he goes into the actual court sessions, and he's right there in New York. I was following him when he was going to cover the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. If you remember back in 2021, I remember setting my alarm clock to wake up at like 3 or 4 o'clock to try to get get there early to hear the trial. And they said they were going to allow the public to hear some of it. And this guy who, let me think, I wish I had, his name, Inner City Press. Does anybody know about Inner City Press? Inner City Press, he does a great job. And if you want good information on any court case in New York, I think he only covers like New York City, but I think it's called Inner City Press. He's on X, and that's where I found him, on X, I believe. And let me go back and tell you, it's called Khadisha Lynn. Khadisha Lynn is covering this information with the Diddy case. So those are people that I have noticed that really get into the minutia. And there are a few others. You can share some in the comments if you know of any that are covering this case really well. I know every morning I listen to For No Fame. He's one of my faves. I love it. And it's just so many different people. He covers this topic as well. So I believe, again, the jury process is complete today, and they will begin the trial on the 12th. And that's, or the 15th or the 12th. Let me know. I think it's next week for sure. So it gets started, and there's a lot of speculation, legal talk about this case. It's very historical, and I know a lot of people have other things to do in their life than to worry about a hip hop mogul. But this case is unfortunately very historical, and it is connected to a lot that is wrong in our society. Because one of the things that I wanted to cover is the whole culture that I would say it's American culture. Although you could live, I would say, off of the grid of this culture for sure and not be touched by it. You could live up in the mountains somewhere and probably never deal with this culture or subculture. But at the same time, we do live in a nation, and if we are united in some capacity, I think we should care about what's happening in our nation. And one of the things that we're seeing a reckoning is this culture. The culture is very immoral, and we have gotten away from the principles and foundations. Of course, I don't need to talk to you all about it. You've observed that. And this Diddy case is highlighting the abuse that goes on in our culture, I'll say, because it's not just the music culture, it's a lot of cultures. And you probably could list some cultures. I could list nursing as a culture and the abuse that happens in nursing. And it's a lot of bullying and the bullies end up becoming managers sometimes, or it's like they say the cream should rise to the top, but in a lot of workplaces it seems that the bullies and the problematic people rise to the top, and that's only because we live in this current short season of Satan, I'll say, because I do adhere to that. I believe that we are in a short season where we are not going to have to endure this evil system right now. It's run by Satan. It's pretty obvious. And I think the music industry, and Karen, let me know if you can still hear me okay, because otherwise I'm just blabbering on. I can't even see the chat right now. But let me know if everything is good with the sound. So I was saying that we're seeing this reckoning right now in the culture, in many cultures. And that's the issue, culture. That's why I'm really focused on culture right now, because we are seeing a reckoning of this culture. And we need a reckoning because it can't sustain at the level that it's at. It's in the basement, below the basement level. And we have to elevate. Okay, Karen says, yes, the sound is good. Okay, great. All right, and I'll just talk a little bit longer, and I'm going to try to reset this up, and I'll just go back to the drawing board. I thank you for the patience that you're having for the process. So, yeah, what I was saying is we need a reckoning because of abuse. And abuse is at the root of a lot of things. Like, if you follow me on some of the socials, I recently had confirmations about my father at the end of his life, and I'm being made aware of abuses, and I didn't know about the level of abuse. Now, a lot of women have a hard time being accountable for being abusers. And there are women that abuse men, okay? And women are a group that is protected, along with other people. Like Black people are a protected group, Jewish people are a protected group. And these are groups that you can't criticize without having the full weight of, many critics. And it makes it hard to move forward with a lot of people in the culture because they do not want to be accountable. And that is truly the only way forward. We have to hold, first of all, if we adhere to any groups and we identify by any labels, and our label and group, our team, is cutting up and acting like foolish clowns, we need to call it out. And that's the thing that a lot of people are frustrated with. Like, I brought up some of the different channels that I get my information about, say, the Diddy trial or something, because I'm not reading the legal paperwork, but they are. And one of the people, Ticket TV, he gets really frustrated, and I worry about his blood pressure sometimes, because I know what it feels like when you are so impassioned with with, what is the word I'm trying to find, when you have a righteous anger, right? Righteous anger is righteous. It's good to be righteously angered. A lot of Christian culture, there we are again. Christian culture. I have come out of Christian culture. I was in Christian culture really deep. And I mean, now I'm not trying to step on your toes, but it was for me, I had to come out of the Christian culture, like the mega church culture, if you know what I mean. I'm not knocking the good old churches that adhere to the Bible and are not Pharisees, you know what I mean, but are really truly um being a good example. And I know they say that, we're all imperfect and the church is a hospital for the sick. And I get all that. I know all the churchy talk. You've heard it all. I can talk all that stuff. But at the end of the day, when I woke up to a lot of things going on in, say, 2017, I was disheartened because the church as a whole wasn't responding to some things that I think were worth looking into, I'll say. And when 2020 hit, I was very disappointed in the church's response. I saw a lot of fear. And, in the Bible, it says we shouldn't have a spirit of fear. But that's all I saw everywhere. I mean, Christian people with masks, 10 masks on, and it's like everybody's afraid of death and afraid of a disease, a damn virus, and the behaviors of the people who claim to represent Jesus Christ, I was just baffled at the fear. So I then was shaken awake because I realized, okay, everything I believed, all this stuff about the eschatology of the end of the age, the end of the world, I felt like, wait a minute, this can't be the group. We can't be the people who are going to stand up to the Antichrist, okay? That was one of my alarm bells. I realized, wait a minute, if we can't stand up to a virus with a 90-something% survival rate, okay? And all of this stuff was repeated, but it didn't matter. Everyone wanted to listen to all the media sources that were amplifying fear. And I felt like I was really in the twilight zone. It was a lonely time because I had to divorce a lot of people, as you have also. And I mean a divorce because this was the precipice, I'll say, to borrow a word from Beyonce. We were on a precipice then of this great divorce. If I could borrow a term from C.S. Lewis, The Great Divorce. Have you ever read that book, The Great Divorce? I want to reread it. But I saw this as a great divorce because I was going to actually witness the separation that is the righteous separation. Because in our culture, we have unrighteous separation and dividing and conquering and stirring up division. But righteous separation, we read about it. We heard about it all growing up, that there would be a separation between wheat and tares. And so I then realized maybe this is that separation, that righteous separation. So I didn't fight it. I didn't fight to maintain connection with people who had a frequency of fear, and they did not want to even look into things and just be an individual and think for themselves. It was disgusting to see the groupthink of people. And I've always been a free bird, and that's, if you've seen some of the socials that I put up. I had a t-shirt on the other day called, Dirty Hippie. And it's like, it's me leaning into a lot of you are what they call the black sheep of your family. And I am quite proudly the black sheep of my family. And it also represents that great divorce, that separation, because in your family, you will see the wheat and the tares pretty obvious who they are and their role, and how they do things to abuse other people and have no record, like remorse, like they're totally like narcissist and uh sociopaths. Some of them, I think they probably would be diagnosed, some of them, as a sociopath. And when you realize, wow, I have sociopaths in my family, I have narcissists in my family, I have all, and yeah, they probably think I'm the whatever, all the names, but the black sheep of any family or group, they're going to be labeled as the crazy one, the one that doesn't go along to get along, the one who is willing to be outcasted because you just can't fake the funk. You can't go along with the BS. And that's really at the crux of this problem in our culture, and where we stand on another precipice, because we're realizing, as we've done a root cause analysis of our culture, that we have allowed foreign influences into our culture, okay? And it's not popular to talk about that, but again, in order to have a real reckoning, we have to be honest and brutally honest about what has happened. And what I've noticed is that, when you have a lot of new people and different, they're not interested in your nation's history. Okay? They're not interested. They're just interested in why they came to this country, for the dream, but they don't care a lot of times what it took to make the country a place where you want to be and have a dream. But one of the things you have to do is stand up to evil. And that's something that, a lot of my friends, if they're not from this country, I'm really putting a lot of people on notice that I'm not tolerating a lot that I used to tolerate. I'm in a different whole mode. I'm actually in war mode. But my war, as I said, is a soft war. But I am in a war-like mentality. I am looking at things like a lioness, okay? I'm looking at intentions. I'm looking at behaviors in a different way. And that's why I say it's like everybody's got to come to the table and be accountable. And that's the thing about where we are in this culture, like I said earlier, is we've allowed foreign influences. And the thing that I mean by that, the foreign influence of our culture, is that we were moral people. And I know a lot of people have, tainted the American narrative, and all they do is harp on slavery. Everything is slavery, slavery, slavery. So America's biggest sin is slavery, okay? And the narrative of slavery has unraveled so much that you don't even know what slavery is, because it's not what we were told. It was not what was portrayed by Hollywood. It absolutely did not look like Roots and all of that. I'll say it was a fever dream of some sort. I don't know, but Alex Haley got caught in lies. He's gone now, but he admitted that the book was it's fantasy fiction. Okay, he made it up. He was a good writer, but it was a fiction story. And that's what a lot of this narrative of slavery is. It's fiction. A lot of people were not slaves, but if people want to be slaves, I say let them have that narrative that they were slaves. Let them believe that their forefathers and ancestors were chained up and Kunta Kinte and all. Let them have it, because maybe some of them were. Okay? I'm at that point. I'm willing to just say maybe you guys were brought over that way. Okay? But I know I wasn't. My people weren't. There's no sign that my people, I've already told you all, there's no way. So the more we study the 1800s, okay, a lot of us harp on about the 1800s, but that's when a lot of this stuff happened, this 1700s, 1800s, and reclassifying people and all of this stuff that happened. But again, it goes back to foreign influences, because it was the foreign influence that started those early wars, the revolutionary wars all over the realm, and the what else, the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, all of these wars. And then the drugs, and you put that into a society that is a weapon of war. And we've heard about the opium. Remember what they did, the opium thing, the dens and stuff like that. And that's where that's how you overtake your enemy. And in fact, I heard For No Fame say a few times that the act of war that was committed on America very effectively was done through friendship, is through a handshake. And what better way to disarm your enemy is to befriend them, and then start to know all about them. And see, that's the thing. Okay, I'll bring it to a micro level. How do you take over someone's estate? Okay, because every state in America that you see is an estate. It's somebody's estate. It's not just, carved up like this for whatever reason, but these are estates. And the Most High Yah is very serious about lands and estates and inheritances and things like that. And the abuse of these things, he takes very serious. And the thing about these estates, it's a macro thing you can look at, but the micro thing, and I shared this earlier, is that I've witnessed estates being looted when people in my family have died. I've had lots of spinster aunties that did not have children, but they were loaded, you guys, okay? It's going to be in my book. I mean, loaded to the gills, okay? You would not even know it. You wouldn't know it to look at them. You wouldn't know it by the homes that they lived in. Very regular people, but loaded, okay? But did things that were interesting. A lot of them, when they were younger, they were traveling on those steamships going to Europe. Yes, and that's why, I find it so ridiculous if somebody wants to tell me that my family were slaves. How is it that they were traveling by steamship to Europe, going on trips like that? How did black people, so-called black people, do stuff like that? So, you're going to have to really prove to me that that narrative of slavery, chattel slavery, transatlantic ships bringing people over like sardines, you gotta be kidding me now. I can't even believe I fell for that at one time. But they say you repeat a lie often, it becomes the truth until it doesn't become the truth. And that's where we are. All of these lies are being exposed, and we're at a point where we're having a reset. We're having an absolute reset. And so, going back to how I've witnessed people's wealth being looted by grifters, and this is what I want to say that ties into this Diddy stuff, is that Diddy, he represents this meme, hashtag Black Excellence. And he was very into portraying this success of a mogul, a businessman, and he's a billionaire and his friends are billionaires and they have billionaire brunches. Remember Oprah even had those brunches, and I used to think, oh my God, I would love to be at one of these brunches, when I thought these people were pretty cool. And it's to make, of course, the regular schmegulars like us feel like FOMO, like, oh, I wish I could go to a Diddy party. I actually really did want to go to a Diddy party, you guys. Can you imagine? I am admitting to that, okay? Because I'm admitting to it because I want to show you that Diddy wasn't this monster back then when he was having the Diddy parties in the Hamptons, for example. That's what I mean. When I was hearing about Diddy parties in the Hamptons, I was like, oh, I would love to go to the Hamptons to a party. I've never been to a party in the Hamptons, but it just looked like, when you're just looking at the People magazine, you just wish you could do these things, but thank the Most High Yah that you did not get to go to these kind of parties. And it's really unfortunate for those who thought they were lucky. I don't think a lot of people think that anymore. A lot of that industry, I hear, they are shook. When this thing started on the 5th, Cinco de Mayo, I heard that it shook the industry because they named actual people like Mike Myers and who else? I know Kanye was mentioned. We're not surprised about him, but I think Mike Myers really shocked everybody. If you remember Mike Myers from what is it, Austin Powers, he was on Saturday Night Live. He did one of my favorite characters. Remember the coffee talk? And he would say, it's like butter. And Mike Myers is being named as a witness, I believe, or something in the Diddy case, but it definitely was a woo, are you serious? That was a shocker. But not really, of course. We're all kind of over Hollywood and celebrity. So I think it's not going to be a shock really anymore if we're being honest. But Mike Myers and who else? It was, I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. I wish I could see the chat and interact with you. But Mike Myers, let me just say something that was very strange about the Mike Myers being named. There is a movie he did with an Austin Powers movie that Beyonce was in, and she had the afro wig. Remember, she was Foxy Cleopatra. And when Austin Powers, played by Mike Myers, he was chasing, or maybe, I don't know, somebody was up on a ladder or something, I don't know, and he pulled the guy's pants, or the person's pants were just down a little bit, and they had a tattoo on their butt that said Diddy or P. Diddy. And people have screen captured it and enlarged it. When I first saw it, I thought that, thank you, Karen. She's let me know that everything's going well in the chat. Thank you, guys. We're going to make it work regardless, right? Okay, so what I was saying is this tattoo on the butt that says P. Diddy, it's very bizarre. And it feels like we're in this fever dream. I don't know. Everything is weird, with even down to, if you look at my my thumbnail picture, President Trump did a, I don't know, picture, an AI picture of him as the Pope, and he was just, he said, joking around, right? I've been a little bit busy, but I think it was just like he was saying, it, can't you guys take a joke? So they're selecting the new Pope. And I don't know, just the whole joking about it, and just the fact that we're seeing this process for a new Pope again, and the way that they do this ritual, it's really interesting, I'll say. And I've always tried to be as respectful as I can. My dad was a devout Catholic, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, and I respected that he loved his religion. He loved the just everything about the beauty of the, just the process, the pomp and circumstance of it all. And I try to be respectful of that, because I know that there are good people in all, religions, if you want to say, except for Satanism, Luciferianism. But in the religions, when people adhere to their good parts, they can be good, good in terms of lawful, good citizens. I'm not judging their book or whatever they believe in, but I'm just saying, if they are adherents to the good parts of their spiritual practice beliefs or whatever, they can be good citizens, and stay within the laws. But this stuff that we're seeing, you know, is something different. But like I'm saying, there are good Catholic people, very devout, very wonderful people. And I was christened a Catholic, so a lot of my Catholic friends tell me, well, you're still Catholic, Jennifer, in our eyes. So I'm like, okay. So, I I I'll see what's happening. I think they said the smoke has cleared or whatever, so they're going to announce a new pope, and I don't know, he might be a brother. He might be a black dude, or what you guys call black, so-called black. I don't know. Is that true? Is like between African guy and a Filipino? So this will be interesting, very, very. And and then we have, where else did I want to go with this? I was talking about abuse in our culture, okay? And women being abusers, that's something that isn't discussed a lot. And women are a protected group, like I said, and they don't like to, as a whole, I'll say not all, but as a whole, they do not like to be held accountable for their behaviors, because if they see themselves as a victim, then it's hard to, then be a victim and then also a perpetrator. So it's easier to stay in a victim status, and then you can get away with a lot of bad behavior, it seems. I don't know. I'm just jumping to a conclusion. I could be wrong. But I would like to see women being held accountable for their abuses, okay? And I went into the looting of estates that I have witnessed. And I want to say, for the people who harp on about this race stuff, which we are post-racial right now, but Puffy and, I guess right now you have Smokey Robinson. He's now being accused of some abuses, and a lot of people are saying that this is racism. They're targeting black men, and this is not fair. And of course, we're over it. We're so tired of hearing that same thing, because at some point, we so-called black people, which we're not all the same, okay, as they have said, not all skin folk are kinfolk. So there are different groups of so-called black people, but we have to figure out who we are identity-wise. And one of the things we have to do, my particular group of so-called black people, we have to take out our trash, okay? And it's like anything. I take out the trash every Thursday. I don't mind. I roll the trash can down to the curb and all that, bring it back. And if I don't take it out, what's going to happen? I'm going to expect my neighbor to come take it to the curb for me? Because that's what it seems like. That's the criticism that's coming to the so-called black community. It's like, when are you all going to take your trash to the curb and not let it pile up? Doesn't it stink? Because that's a ridiculous thing to expect some other group to take your trash out, or you just don't want it taken out. You want to keep it right with you. Because it's a victim. It's all the excuses you can think of. It's trash. We should understand it. It didn't mean it. It didn't mean to be trash. What? Because we're going to have a divorce from a lot of people. There is just going to have to be that. Okay, kiddos? Because if people can't see that it's time for a reckoning, then I don't know what it's going to take. Because this whole puffy thing is going to put everything front and center with American culture and the subculture of America. And that's the one that had a foreign influence that usurped our culture by... And you can listen to Yuri Bezmezva, whatever. He detailed how this happened. Okay? Foreign influences. They came into our nation as friends. And they subverted our culture. Because that's the real war, is to subvert from within. And you take the culture and you subvert it so much that you end up destroying the people because they don't have any moorings. There's no more Polaris star, no due north. Their compass is broken. And that is the moral compass of a people. When you get to the point where people are defending monsters that are like Satan in the flesh. If people can come and defend that, that means that they are beyond. This is a reprobate mindset. And there are a lot of reprobates in our culture. They need to be dealt with. They need to live in shame. As we elevate, they need to de-escalate, whatever it is. They're going to fall because it's not going to be tolerated and accepted. No more excuses. Once this is over, there are no more puffies, no more Diddies that are going to rise anymore. It's over. He had an opportunity to do something good. He was given power. He was given influence and money. And what did he do with it? What does he have to show for it? That's the question. I mean, we can go through his legal defense and everything with a fine-tooth comb, but that's funny, his name is Combs too. But the bottom line is, what do we do when we get power? Because that's the thing that corrupts people, is power. And the things that I'm hearing about, it is unreal. The level of cruelty to inflict on others. There's no excuses other than this is totally satanic. And we can look at what happened. Was he raised in a whorehouse? What's going on? All the different theories. But, we got to stamp out this immorality. It cannot be celebrated anymore. It's disgusting. Now, I don't know how you all felt about the Met Gala. I don't know why we should even care about it, but it is interesting right now when you hear people analyze really what was going on there. A lot of messages. And, the outfits are pretty outlandish, but it is a costume. If you understand fashion, you know that they're not trying to promote fashion that you're going to go to work in. This is, costume stuff. This is for the elites. They consider themselves elites. So they're going to have weird things and rituals. And we're just, we've been brought into the group chat to a degree. And we can judge it, of course, and we can judge that it is outlandish. And these people are very strange. They're into very strange things. Um, and for the most part, I don't know what they're going to do after this Diddy trial in terms of Hollywood. I know that President Trump is saying that he wants to do things to reform Hollywood and protect some of the things when it comes to the money that's spent outside of our nation and bring the money back here. And that's all good. I have to look into some of the details of that. If you know anything, please share in the chat. But all of these things are part of a reset. And I know that we were spooked about reset, that word. You think of Klaus Schwab and that ugly black, what is it, that puffy little outfit that he was, isn't that funny I'm saying puffy? I'm talking about that little weird thing that he had on looking like a villain. And I don't know. He seems like now he might have been from Central Casting, right? He was like Dr. Evil. I mean, come on, with that accent and everything. I'm not sure anymore. I kind of believe some of these theories that these people are truly actors, like Shakespeare said. So, yeah, so we have, what else? I wanted to talk about the people on the list of the thumbnail. It was also, let me talk about Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle, I'm in the Meghan Markle algorithm, I told you all. I love a lot of people that analyze Meghan Markle. I never thought I'd be interested in her, but I'm fascinated with Meghan right now. And it's more so from like a behavioral study analysis of what is going on with this woman. She has a fan base. She has a lot of people that love her, but then there's this segment of people that hate her. They call it hate watching or whatever, hate viewing, but they literally do not like her. But it's a whole industry of people that do content about her. So she has this influence in our culture, but she is portrayed in a way, I can't say portrayed because you can look at clips of her show. She has a cooking show, then she had a podcast, but you can look at her engaging with other people and you can see the awkward nature of it and wonder what's going on. And when you listen to people that break down her behavior, you then start to say, wow, this is fascinating. Is she serious? And how did she get to be like this? I mean, I'm like, wow, this is a study in a personality. But she has, again, influence on our culture. And when you look at her with her husband, so-called Prince Harry, and she's a very ambitious woman, very ambitious. And her ambition is really, wow, it's blind almost. And it's very unnerving for me, I'll say personally, when I see a woman who is that ambitious, a designing woman. Because women, when they have these types of ambitions to be all of this and girl boss energy, they can inflict a lot of abuse on people. They can unleash it. because they step out of their natural order. It's not organic to be these girl bosses that we have running around our culture. There some of them, I'm not saying Megan, but I'm just saying allegedly, there are people that think that she's abusive to her husband, and she could be. I suspect that my father's third wife was very abusive, and you'll read about it in my book, okay? So I know women can be abusive. I have observed it. And I want to tell you all personally, when I'm around a friend or former friends, I'll say, and they abuse their husbands in front of me, I've never told them that, but I actually don't want to be their friend after that. I'm not kidding. I've actually pulled away from at least two friends because they abuse their husbands in front of me. One of them, she thought it was cute all the time to correct her husband because she was more successful than him. She had a high power job. She was the one that brought home the bacon and fried it up in the pan. And then she felt that she was more educated because she went to college and he didn't. So there was this imbalance in their relationship. But when I was in their presence, I witnessed her correct him on pronunciation or whatever, fact checked him in front of her friends. Like it would be not just me, but a few women friends. And I'm looking at this imbalance. I'm like, okay, I'm sitting at the table with these women and she is disrespecting her husband in front of all of us. And she thinks this is cute and admirable. No, it's disgusting. And if you do that in front of me, I'm going to be like, peace, I'm out. I don't even want to be your friend anymore. If you're going to abuse your husband in front of me, girl, are you crazy? That's not impressive. Girl boss, disgusting. And we need to start judging these mean girls for their mean acts. Because I sure do. I judge you. So yeah, I've backed away from a couple of these mean girls trying to treat their husbands like dogs in front of me. Oh no, I'm not going to be your audience. I'm not impressed, chick. So that's that. And I know women abuse people. They abuse men. It's not cool. Abuse is not good. It's never justified. Okay? It's never justified, period. And I'm over abusive people. They need to be on the fringes of our society and culture. If they abuse people, they need to be living in shame, holding their head in shame. So next up, let's talk about Bill Belichick, who's with a chick who people are like, what the heck is going on? I don't know. Are we to judge it? It's weird. An older man with this really young woman, and she has, I don't know, she gives me, I don't know, I'm picking up vibes. Like when I see these women raven haired with a brunette like her, she's not a blonde, but she has that mysterious, it's kind of like, what's that chick that is the governor, Gretchen? She's giving me Gretchen Whitmer, like a young Gretchen Whitmer vibe. And I don't know, I think Bill needs to be protected. I'm telling you, as a warning from a daughter whose father is no longer here, who fell into the hands of a Jezebel. I'm not calling his girlfriend a Jezebel. I'm just saying, allegedly, people might be saying things like that. But see, this is the thing I want to tell you. Bill, he's probably having a load of fun. A lot of people, when they see these sort of April, May, what do you call these relationships? Do they call them April, May? I don't know. People think the first thing they say is, what do they talk about? What do they talk about? Come on, people. They're not talking, obviously. And I don't know, is she a dominatrix allegedly? What's going on? He's hanging out with her and he looks like, I don't know. I'm going to start looking at these relationships in another way. It's because of my personal experience with my father. So when I see this, I'm like, where are his children? Please step in. I couldn't step in. I know it's hard to step in. And I'm going to talk about that. You know, I'll be dropping a little bit of stuff about my book. I won't wait to have you read it totally. But, you know, I'll be sharing a few little things before it's published. But I want to say it's really hard sometimes to judge these situations because when you're not in the situation, it's easy to say, oh, I would have done that, because I used to say that, right? Until it happens to you. But remember when Michael Jackson was going through his thing and he was with that doctor and they were saying, was it Dr. Conrad Murray? And he was giving him the, what, Jesus juice and the milk, the propofol milk to go to sleep. All kinds of weird stuff, right? So we're hearing about this and you're like, wait a minute, where is Janet? Where is Tito? Where is Jermaine? Where's Randy? Please step in. Where's Latoya? I knew I could always count on Latoya to tell us the truth. And I don't know, Latoya has told us some things, but I don't know. I might need to check in on Latoya. I've heard that she's maybe a little too thin. If you've seen her lately, it's a little bit concerning, but I'm not going to do the body thing because people get weird about it. But I'm just saying we need to keep an eye on Latoya. But yeah, so my thing is, back to my point, I was judging the Jackson family and I was wondering, why can't somebody get to Michael and help him? But when you are in the situation, it's not as easy as it seems, I'll say. And when a person gets so close to someone and they become controlling, they do a lot of things when they're really crafty. Like I've seen people be really crafty. They can do a lot to keep a person alienated from someone, and they can stir up a lot of witchcraft, I'll say. And it is hard to, as a family member, it's hard to know what's real because the person gaslights people so much that you don't know if you're going crazy or you're like, am I tripping? Is this really what's happening, or is it just me? And then you start to distance yourself if the person changed, because sometimes your person changes on you. They're around this person who's almost controlling their brain, and you can become hurt. You're human after all. And if your relative starts to do things that hurt you, and then you become distant, now that Jezebel or whoever has full control and reign over your loved one. And it's hard then, especially if you've been away, kind of, you don't know what's going on details wise. And they can do a lot, I'll say. These Jezebels, they can get involved in ways that are unbelievable. So it's hard to see, an older man with a younger woman who looks like she's really like designing, very, very crafty. Men they're not ready for some of these women, they're not ready. I don't know. I'll just say, yeah. Hope everything works out there and for a lot of people involved. But anyway, yeah. Halle Berry, that was the other person. Halle Berry, let's talk about her. Halle Berry is getting a lot of attention right now from this Met Gala. And what I found weird is the Met Gala coincided with the P. Diddy trial. And the Met Gala's theme was super fine, tailoring black style. And I thought that was weird, tailoring black style. And to make it about black fashion, especially right now, I'm not sure. I'm gonna analyze that. I won't share everything that I'm thinking right now. But the outfits were pretty, costumey. They're out there. Um, and I don't know how much of the history of things like dandies. That would have been interesting if they had come dressed as the dandies and maybe talked about that as a history in New York. I had a book about dandies. Does anybody know about dandyism? When I worked at Barnard, which is part of Columbia University, one of the professors, I used to go by and visit their office, and they had a book, bookcase, bookshelf with interesting books, and I borrowed that book. It was called Dandies, and I thought it was interesting. I've always been interested in fashion, so I didn't complete the book, though. Maybe I'll pick that book up and read it. Anyway, I will probably cut this live stream here. I've been talking, and I can't see the chat. I will look at your comments and I'll do another live stream very soon. I won't take as long, but bear with me because I am writing a book right now, and I want to continue to do my live streams and everything. And on Saturdays I'm doing the farmers market. I really love the farmers market. I'm teaching fiber arts to people. I had my first student, and guess what? It was a young man, and he learned crochet in one sitting. I'm so excited. Young man. He came up to me because, they asked me to do teaching. People were like, why don't you teach? And I love that. I said, absolutely. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to teach a young person and just have them run with this art, and I was just speaking life into this young man. I said, I've sat in and knit with men that were commissioned by Calvin Klein. I met a man once. I was knitting in Atlanta in Virginia Highlands when they had this cute little knitting boutique. Like I told you, they've closed down a lot of these knitting boutiques, okay? I'm not talking Michael's and Joann's. I'm not trying to be bougie, but there used to be knitting boutiques, okay? And you can sit down at a table and knit with people, and you began to develop like a community. I call us the Knitterali. But we would sit and we would eat a little snack and sip on something, and we would knit and talk. It was powerful. I've done this all over the world, okay, with different people, because knitting will connect you to everyone once you know this art. So this particular man, he was knitting something for his grandchild. And when I say it was so sublime, his work, his stitches were so perfect. It looked, it looked like something you would see in an Italian children's boutique. It was that beautiful. And he told me that in the 70s, he was commissioned by Calvin Klein to do sweaters for his fashion show. And I was like, wow. No, maybe not the 70s, maybe the 80s it was one of those decades, the 80s, I think, now that I'm really thinking back to that conversation. But he designed the sweaters, like literally hand knit them for this show. So I'm just saying, I don't know how they did that in terms of mass producing, but in fashion, you have couture which is bespoke sometimes. This is like designed for very few people. You have to go to the showrooms in Europe and New York, and these things are made for you personally. And I've known only one person that has gone into these types of showrooms. I've worked, so I wasn't there as a customer, of course. I was like a mannequin. I worked in showrooms in Milan, Italy, but I've known a woman who would go to these showrooms all in Europe and buy clothes. And that her name was Eunice Johnson. She was married to John H. Johnson, who started Ebony magazine, Ebony Jet in Chicago. His wife, Eunice, would go into those design houses and purchase like real designer clothes. And only just hundreds of people own these kinds of pieces. So yeah, one day I want to talk about some fashion, especially with what we have with the tariffs and China, and how China has risen to power globally off of the back of America. Yeah, I said it. I'm going to start saying things like that more. So, and I've been to China, and I've met people that told me, like when I was in, where was I? Shanghai. And a man that I met from London, he told me that he had been traveling to China, in fact, Shanghai, since the 70s. And he said that when he would travel in the 70s to Shanghai, everybody wore standard issue clothes. They all rode on bicycles. They all had the bowl haircuts. And if you go to Shanghai now, the people are pushing Bentleys. You have malls with all the designer shops. They're very focused on designer stuff. And the wealth that is seen is unbelievable. So if this man who traveled many years to China and he saw them go from standard issue clothing, everybody's on bicycles with bowl haircuts, to now everybody's pushing a Bentley and they're like, plastic surgery. I mean, anything you would see in Beverly Hills, like maybe just 10 exit. So if they have become that wealthy in that short amount of time off of imbalanced trade, you've got to be kidding me that we have actual Americans that are against a balanced trade. Like, that's where you know that you're not dealing with a true American. Like, we're going to have a standard for who is a true American, okay? Because if you are anti-American, we need to start identifying people like that. And the culture needs to shame people like that and offer them a plane ticket out of here. Go somewhere else, okay? Because you know what? We only need to have people who love it and who are loyal and who want to see this nation prosper, okay? Not want to see a nation prosper off of our back. I want everything to be fair. I want things to be fair for China, for everybody, but not imbalanced. Nobody needs to eat off of our plate. That's how I feel, period. So I'm going to close this live stream now, but I want to say that I was listening to Thomas Sowell. And Thomas Sowell is an intellect that I love to listen to. And I love his answers for what ails us as a culture. And one of the things is, I took some notes. I heard a term, canons of respectability. We used to have canons of respectability. And I remember maybe, when was it that Cardi B sort of exploded on the scene. 2000, what, 15 or so, or maybe whatever that period that Cardi B had her heyday. I remember going to an event. I had one of my cousins fly to Atlanta, and I wanted her to go to this event with me. And she was talking to me about Cardi B. She's younger, and I was telling her I don't know much about her, but I didn't think that she was my cup of tea. And she was like, "No, Jen, no, you should really give her a chance." And she's so whatever. I don't know the thing. She loved her, she was like, she's really funny. She's really got a heart of gold, whatever. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm being judgmental. I'll give Cardi B a chance. And I noticed that people from my cousin's generation, they tended to like certain things that, I don't know, maybe I was getting older or something, but they would answer if you would maybe say anything in criticism of the culture. They would snap back and say that they were not into respectability politics. Do you all remember that? Because I had tons of younger women snap back at me with that they were not into respectability politics. And they said it with it had like a nasty edge to it. And so I realized, okay, now I'm the older person. And I'm the one that, okay, they don't think I know anything, right? Okay, so now I'm that person. And now I've watched Cardi B crash and burn, and now the whole culture is in the dumpster and it's on fire. And now I'm wondering what these same people would say. Oh, you're not into respectability politics, eh? Yeah, so what did that get us? Because Cardi B, unreal. The levels of ignorance and all of the other pseudo celebrities that have come through. We had somebody called Krishan Rock who literally drank alcohol on camera while she was pregnant. She was in nightclubs. Now, we used to judge a chick if she just had a baby and then went to the nightclub to shake a tail feather. We used to judge that. But now we have advanced so far that pregnant women are literally in the nightclub smoking blunts and throwing Henny down their throat. And then when the baby comes, and I'm a nurse of 30 plus years, so I don't want to hear nothing, because I have taken care of babies with fetal alcohol syndrome. I have taken care of babies that are crack babies in Philadelphia. And that is one of the most unreal things, to see a baby addicted at birth. I'm not going to say what I would do to somebody who ever tried to tell me that that is not evil. And they would stand by a celebrity named Krishan Rock and literally say that they relate to her. So many women literally related to her. They felt bad for her. All the drama she was going through. They relate, oh, I used to love a man like that. Oh, I used to be treated like that. They literally related to this chaotic woman. So what does that say about our culture? It is in the dumpster. And thank the Most High Yah that he is burning it up. After the Diddy trial, I don't want to hear about none of them no more. They could just all kick rocks. Because this is it. It's a reckoning, period. And like I said, we have to get back to the canons of respectability. As Thomas Sowell said, we had old-fashioned virtues, and they kept us elevated in every way, elevated, not degraded. Because immorality is a slave virtue. That's something that Soul said. Immorality is a slave virtue. And when you look at the things that get people in trouble, like the Diddies of the world, now we're hearing about Smokey Robinson. God forbid, my Aunt Eleanor was so in love with that man. She's not here to see this. Smokey, not Smokey with those green eyes. But yeah, okay. I don't know what Smokey's been up to. A lot of his generation, they've died with their secrets, right? They did a lot of crap, but it wasn't out there on Front Street like it is now. So I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and defend that he was a good guy, just sitting on the bench minding his business, reading the Bible all of his career. I don't know what he's been doing. But I know one thing, people are not getting away with the stuff they used to. And maybe he's not going to get to go to the grave before his secrets are exposed. Some people get to do it. Quincy Jones. But this sexual immorality, it turns a person into a slave. That's what people don't realize. Like, Jesus Christ wasn't kidding. That sin will make you a slave. Look at the depravity of the details, the graphic details around the Diddy case, around the Epstein, around anybody that we've heard about, the Clintons and the Ghislaine, all of these people. Disgusting. They're disgusting. It's satanic. And Satan, he's the greatest abuser. And he reneges on all of his Faustian deals. He leaves a person in prison like Diddy. He's done. He's done with Diddy. I don't care about the tattoos you put on your back. You're done. No protection. You played around too long and mocked God. And now the mocking is turned on them. They're all going to be mocked. And Satan is going to laugh at these people for taking his Faustian deals. You know, the movie Sinner, I think Karen did tell me a little bit about Sinners or whatever that's out right now, about the guitar player Johnson, who made a Faustian deal to become a good blues guitarist. He was really mediocre, they say, but he went to the crossroads, and we've heard about the crossroads. It was referenced in songs and different things. But this music industry and the reckoning that we're going to see of this industry is going to be quite, it's going to shake us. It's going to be very jarring. I don't know how it's going to really survive the music industry as we know it. It is trashed, and we've allowed it to be trashed by people like Diddy. Diddy should have been dealt with a long time ago. He's been doing this for over 3 decades. That's a long time to terrorize an industry. But being that Lucifer, Satan, the devil, he was the cherubim that was over the music. So they say he had pipes that were actually within his body, inside. Like, I can't imagine the beauty of this creature when he was in right standing. The beauty. He was the most beautiful. And because music is a language and a frequency, and it can elicit so many emotions, it can bypass your consent even. If you're not careful and protected, music can go right through into your subconscious. because your gates are lowered. And so those messages can literally influence you on a subconscious level. Music is very powerful. We've heard from people like Todd. What was it, Todd? He's not around anymore, but Todd, you all know who I'm talking about. He gave the most comprehensive dissertation on the music industry, which he was a part of. And he actually talked about how they would take the master recordings into rooms and actual witches were praying over these masters, praying incantation things and spells and whatever over the music. So if they take it that seriously, we should. We should take it that seriously. What is going on with the music and the musicians? When people have a talent for music, they need to be protected. They do not need to be abused and taken advantage of for their God-given talent. And that is where we have to stop people like Diddy. We can never have another Diddy. That's it. He broke the mold. He did his job for Satan. And he's going to become a cautionary tale of somebody who rose up in the world and he got all of the toys and the trinkets and the sex. He got all of it. And in the end, it doesn't even matter. To quote a song, in the end, it doesn't even matter. Because he lost his soul. And I'm not God. I don't know how far he's gone. Some people have gone so far that it's no turning back. They become like the Nephilim, who there's no redemption, no forgiveness for once they fell. And that is what Nephilim means. Nephilim means fallen. So everybody that follows that agenda is fallen as well. Puffy is fallen. He is a fallen human. Only God can help him. He can get every lawyer he can buy. He can get a black woman who once sued Cash Money Birdman for allegedly doing the graping in a studio. These studios need to look into these studios because it's a lot that goes on in these studios, by the way. But there's, they say Puffy's lawyer allegedly had sued Cash Money back in the day for doing something to her in the studio. And she got money or something, payout, Birdman and all this. So Puffy has her on his team. And, he has a black woman. He had a black man who left his case. He was like, I'm out. Can't defend this guy. But he's got a black woman he just added to his dream team. He added a lot of women. And, the thing about it is, like, you can add anybody you want. You could resurrect Johnny Cochran. But the thing is there's nothing to defend the abuses that he is charged with, that is alleged against him, that everybody's talking about. There's no amount of dream team that he could get. He needs Jesus Christ as his counselor. That's the only one he needs. I hope he's crying out to Jesus. He used to wear so many crosses around his neck, mocking him. Well, he needs to meet him, and he can meet him right in that jail cell. That's the beauty of Jesus Christ. He'll meet you right in your jail cell. Because that's the last stop for some people. And maybe that's the last stop for Puffy. For Sean Combs. Yeah, I'd love to see a redemption arc for this villain. I don't know about you all. I don't take pleasure in knowing that everybody's going to, burn up in hell or whatever. I'd like to see some redemption in some of these people. literally being healed from these sick souls that they have. If it's possible, I don't know. But I know that this whole slave stuff and the racism that they like to cry about in this culture, the real tea, again, I will repeat, is that immorality is a slave virtue. If a person lives by their lower nature and sex and porn leads to the sick stuff. The men and the women too, because Kanye said his mother was looking at porn. We got to get porn out of our culture. And the people that push porn, they need to be shamed. They need to walk around with their head down. We need to reject them whole cloth. Anybody who does the production and manufacturing and selling of porn. Because that's really what's ruining a lot of people. Kanye said that those images caused him, it influenced him to do things. And now if you look at Kanye, he looks like he's a sex addict. Like sex is like potato chips for this man. He can't eat enough of them. Need to grab the bag from the guy. And the wife needs to put on some clothes. What the heck? I don't know what that's all about, but it's crazy. It's crazy. Wow. Okay. I know he's accused of being crazy. I don't think he's crazy. I think he's just, he needs Jesus too. I know he's met him, but he needs to really go away for a month with Jesus. I really think so. But being a slave, like Kanye, to quote him, he said it's a choice. And it is. Slavery is a choice. And to be a slave to your urges and your impulses, to have no control over yourself like an animal, to have no self-discipline like a child, like a minority, a minor, an infantilized person, little baby, little yachty, little this, little that. What else do you expect? You're calling yourself little baby this and little Kim, little this. Well, you act little in your mentality. Little mental midgets that you are. We need to shame all of that little stuff. Because some of these people mess with littles. And that needs to stop. Messing with littles. That has to be absolutely stamped out. Anyone that messes with littles. But that's what porn leads to. Yeah, porn it becomes an addiction. It is a spiritual addiction. And Satan loves it when a person gets addicted to porn, because Satan can influence more progressive desires. And guess where they go next? They go to littles, and they go to Fido, dogs, cats, whatever, fish, sick stuff, goats, camels. That's where it leads to. That's why it must stop. It is so degrading to a human soul to be addicted and to be a slave to immorality. Ask Puffy. Look at where it led him. He's a swinger, everybody. He's a swinger. Everybody thought that swinging was cute. I had somebody try to defend it. She brought it up. I didn't want to hear about it. She's telling me at work that she's a swinger, her and her husband. I don't want to hear about that. You nasty, bad-built woman, Jezebel. I don't want to hear about it. And that's what people started doing in the workplace. You have to hear about their sex life? Oh, no. No. I don't care. But she had to tell me that, and I looked at her, And I don't care, you might think that I'm like Felicia Rashad or Mrs. Huxtable, but I said, that's not a good idea for your marriage. And she was like, no, it spices the marriage up. I said, okay, check back with me in a few years because I don't think it's going to work out real well. And she was mad at me. But the thing is, like, don't share that with somebody if you don't want to be judged for it. But people have not been shamed, and they've been comfortable talking to people about this kind of stuff. They have no decorum, no class, and they need to be shamed. We need to bring shame back. Bring shame back to the shameful, because they are bringing everything down, and we can't have anything nice if they are at the helm. We need to take the levers of control and influence and power away from these people, as well as money. And that is all I want to share. And that was a lot for me having these glitches going on. Oh, guess what, you guys? I was looking out the window today and I saw this beautiful fox running across the meadow. And I didn't know what it was. Me and the cat, we were looking. The cat was like, what's going on? And I thought it was a cat. But I saw this tail and the color. It was so beautiful. Now I know why people are called foxy. Because little foxies are just so beautiful. But yeah, so that was nice today. And I will keep in touch. I'll have another live stream soon, okay? Maybe next week. I'm going to work on this OBS situation. I think my problem was it created 2 live streams, and I had to cancel the one because it literally created a live stream to happen at a time before I was actually scheduling it. So that was the glitch. And I think it happened on, I'm not sure if it was the YouTube side or the OBS side, but I do like OBS. I have learned it to a degree. I was going to be happy to show you. I learned some things. I had set up some slides for you to look at. But anyway, we'll do it again because I'm not doing StreamYard anymore. They've gone up on their prices. It's just not worth it for me if I'm not doing a lot of live streaming like I used to. It used to be like $25 a month, and I thought that was high, but I've dealt with it. And now it's like 40 something, like $44 a month. StreamYard, you need to stop it. But anyway, they have all these new bells and whistles, but whatever. I'm not impressed. I like this OBS. So bear with me. I'll get it straightened out. Please return. If you like the video, you want to, subscribe. I would love to have you hang out here with us. We have fun in the Chatmosphere. And we've been on this road, a lot of us, together since 2020. And we found each other. We've lost channels. I've lost so many channels. And, for talking about stuff like this. I lost one talking about Britney Spears and some lawyer. I don't know. She was a Chinese lawyer or something. They got mad at me, whoever that was, because I was looking into the money. I was literally following the money of what they were doing to Britney, and I was onto a paper trail. And baby, they got rid of my channel. And I talked about that vax and all that. So I don't know. You know how it is. We're on watch lists and all kind. We're not friends to these people. But we continue to fight the forces of evil in the name of Jesus Christ, the Most High Yah's Son. And I want to bless you with a little benediction. I love you all. Thank you. And peace. Take care.